Hello. Right then, so this feels really weird. Back's killing already. But I just had an idea. I thought it might be quite interesting to do like a complete sort of start to finish of how I actually do my spec commercials. I think it really helped people in the UK, really, this video. You know, people that are like maybe in the north of the UK, like where I'm from. So that's why I thought it'd be interesting for you and for me to sort of show you from start to finish what goes in to a spec commercial. Obviously, as you can see from the complete state behind me, this room is not looking good. Right, so it's not as tidy as I want it to be, but to illustrate the point for this video, I think I've got all the gear that I need. I suppose I'll walk you through the idea of how to set it up. So straight off the bat, let's just try and get rid of as much of this light as we can. So as easy as that, you've got rid of some light. And just to make this little section a little bit more easier for your eyes to handle, I've put on the light. So technical so far, so technical. All this stuff here is what I'm potentially going to be using. Most of it I am. It's going to go about here, I think. Let's have a look. Next up, we've got this arm. I don't know if you call it an arm. That's what it's an arm. It's going to go like that. So this is where it gets really technical. We're going to now put the cloth onto that. Technical. Clippers. We're just going to do that. Where's he gone? He's here. He's all here. So this now acts as sort of two different things. First of all, I suppose it's blocking any of that other spill, that light that we're getting coming in. It's blocking a little bit more of that. Number two, it's providing a backdrop for... Hi, welcome to the show. Right, so I've brought this table up. What we're going to be using this for is to put the piece of black acrylic on. So we're going to be using this to put on the table. You can literally get these on Facebook Marketplace for, you know, cheap as chips. You know, it's literally just a table that spins. But yeah, the table is going to be used to sort of put the product on. We're going to use the piece of acrylic. We're going to take this plastic off and we're going to give it a good clean so there's no dust or anything on it, because we are doing a spec commercial for Rolex.
Ooh, you're hard showing off.
There will be links in the description so you can see how much you could do it for, but you could do it for way cheaper than this. I've done it for way cheaper than this before. I'm going to be using my FX6 to film this. Aperture 120D Mark II with the light dome. So then we've got the backdrop behind there, and then we've got the table, the spinny table, with the acrylic, the black acrylic piece on it, just to sort of put the product on. So now we've seen how I set something up. It's super simple if you're going for this sort of like black infinite sort of look. Like you want to make the product just look like it's sort of floating in the dark. Even if you've watched just a select few of my videos, you'll probably know that I do like to, typically, if it's up to me, I do like to light things more on the dark and dramatic sort of side than sort of the light, airy-fairy sort of look. I just find it works better for me. I like the style, I like the feel of it. So yeah, you just sort of, that's one thing I could probably give you as a tip, is just create what you like to watch, create what you are drawn to most. Try and create things that you like yourself. At this point, I'll have already created a playlist of videos that I've seen that I'm going to take a bit of inspiration from and sort of look at the shots that they've done and sort of put my own spin on it, but also use it as sort of a template of what I like and what I don't like. But yeah, so I'm just going to do that now, and then I'll catch up with you in a second. So I think I'm in a place now where I'm actually really happy with how it looks. I've adjusted the light, so I've made it a little bit higher. And I have also made it so it's at 70% and it was at 100. Something that I quickly will just point out is that first of all, I get all my wider stuff. Obviously, we're creating a spec commercial for a watch, so it is all going to be quite close anyway. But I'll first off start by getting shots like this that are just wider, show the whole watch, and then go into those tiny details that, you know, the watch has to offer, or the product has to offer if you're not doing a watch. Another obvious but important tip I can give you is make sure you're watching your footage back check that everything's in focus. Something to note is that I film at an f-stop at about f-stop 4 and above. I'd try typically not to go below that because you're really trying to get close and show all the detail. If you have an f-stop that's like 1.8 or 1.4, really low f-stops, then you're going to struggle to get that focus and it's going to be kind of unclear on what you're actually trying to focus on. And sometimes it might even look like you've missed focus when you know you haven't, but it can just look like that. Really happy with the footage I've got so far. It's looking pretty nice if I do say so myself. It's difficult with wides because, you know, you can get the same shot over and over and over again. So I think what's just important is just to try and get a few different, try and really come up with some like creative ideas to get, you know, different wide shots. I'm actually starting to use my reflector to get to just lighten the image up a little bit and make it look a little bit more like there's something going on. It looks really good. Pretty happy with all the wide stuff I've got. So now we're going to go on to the close-ups. Obviously, when you're doing your wides, make notes of things that you're little aspects of the watch that you like that you want to get a close-up of, and then get different variations of that close-up. Something that is a lifesaver for me doing these little product spec commercials is this little bad boy. Meeky. It's a little adapter. It goes on to your lens, onto your camera, and it's like a micro lens adapter. Probably should just point out that I've been doing this now for probably a good hour. These things do take time. I like to get multiple shots just to make sure that I'm getting what I want, and it gives me options in the edit. I do actually have one more trick up my sleeve. Ooh, didn't expect that, did you? Plot twist. Some meth. So this is glass. What I'm going to do with this glass is I'm going to put it on the acrylic and then sit the watch carefully, very carefully. It's just broken glass. I thought it might look quite cool. Because I do want it to look quite full. I want the watch to sort of look like it's lost. You see what I mean? You see what I mean, man? Look at that! I'm beyond happy with that. That is looking like $1 million. Look at that. Right, so I think I'm actually done. But I think I've probably been doing this now for like maybe 3 hours, and I'm just looking through now, checking the shots I've got. I always do this when I do spec commercials. I sort of look and I think I haven't got enough, or maybe the shots aren't quite what I hoped they would be. You only really fully see what they look like when you get actually into your editing software. But before I do that, I'm going to pack this down. No Rolexes were harmed during the making of this video. So it's been about a week since I filmed and edited the spec commercial for Rolex. I wanted to take a little bit of a break before I showed you the editing breakdown for it. Not because the editing's complicated or anything, because I wanted to really think about what I would want to know if I was watching this as a viewer. So first of all, let's jump in and see what the finished piece looked like. I think this is the first spec commercial I've ever made that hasn't had any sound design in it whatsoever. It's got none in it at all. The reason for this is because I wanted to keep the commercial looking as close to an actual Rolex commercial as possible. However, having said all that, you might notice that there is actually some ticking sound effects. If you just look at this section here, the ticking effect is actually in the song. So as soon as I heard that song, it was literally just like, right, I'm gonna have to use that, because that just sounds perfect. So the day that I filmed, I sat down, I got into the edit, I looked at the footage, and I realised that I stupidly didn't wind the watch. So that was pretty annoying. I just forgot to do it. I completely overlooked it. So quickly moving on to my editing workflow, after all the clips have imported into Final Cut Pro, I then start sieving through and sorting out the good from the bad. Once I'm happy with the good side, I then start making another sort of pile, and that's stuff that I definitely want to use. If I'm umming and ahhing and I'm not really sure, I'm on the fence with a certain clip, then normally that stays where it is and it doesn't go into the stuff that I actually want to use if I'm on the fence with it. Something I will mention here is you obviously want to show off all of the product. So sometimes you might have a lot of favourite shots that you like as like the person that's filmed it, but it doesn't actually show the product off. You know, shots like this maybe where, you know, nothing's really happening. I'm not that interested in it. I don't think it's an amazing shot. I don't think it's a bad shot. So it's one of them where I'm like, but does it show the other aspects of the watch off? Yes. I try to avoid being repetitive. So it gets to a point where it sort of looks like this. So you've got these two sides. So now I'm definitely sure that I've got all the shots that I like on one side and all the shots that I'm not really bothered or don't like on the other. So we can delete them, obviously doing this as an example. And then at this point, what I'd normally do is I drag in another generator, then start going through the shots that you like, trim them down to the specific points that you actually want to use. Open up with what you believe is your best shot. So that immediately hooks people, gets them interested. As you're going through all your shots that you like and you want to use, for me then it's all about telling a story. Telling a story doesn't have to be complicated. For me, on this scale, when you're creating a 30-second ad, it literally just means that you're starting off wider and you're going in closer. So you're showing the product. What is it? Questions are being raised. What is it? And then you're going in a little bit deeper to find out all the aspects and the pieces of what it is. Before I started editing, I didn't anticipate that I was going to actually be doing this ticking thing, and that there was going to be a ticking aspect to the whole piece. That was something that came later. With these spec commercials, that's something that I always do. I never really plan them down to a T. I just sort of let it unfold and let's see what happens. So as you can see, just skimming over this timeline here, I mean, there's no clever tricks in this. I'm not hiding anything. You can see from the timeline, it's super simple. As I said, I wanted to keep it as close to an actual Rolex commercial as possible. Colour correction. So if I just take this off here, that's the actual shot. It doesn't look bad, but I just wanted it to look a bit more darker, a bit more dramatic, and a little bit more sharper. So I think that really ticks it off. A bit of colouring going on there, just to make it look a little bit more dramatic. This section is a massive scaling going on. So I've scaled in and I've rotated. Same with this one. That's actually the image. If you blow this spec commercial up on a big TV, you can actually see the outline of this box. If I was sat watching this, I think one of the questions I want to know is how I got this shot. I mean, some people might be looking at that and thinking it's really obvious and it's not too complicated, but some people might be like, how the hell, what the hell, how does that even work? What this is a shot of, it's a straight shot of the glass and the watch on the acrylic, but the camera's slightly above, so we're getting a reflection below from the acrylic that it's sat on. So all I've done here is I think I just then I cropped it and then I scaled it and rotated it to make it have this sort of pulling effect where it sort of starts off sort of slanted and then twists around so it finishes and they're both side by side sort of thing. Again, this is what I'm saying about when you're in the edit, just kind of just try different things, trial and error. That's what these things are for. It's a spec commercial, it's not obviously for real, so just really just have a go. I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, it's not a complicated edit at all. It's not something that's, you know, took hours and hours to do. It was just something that was just an idea and a fun little project for me to do. If you do have any specific questions about this, then do let me know. But like I said, super simple edit, nothing complicated about it, no sound design, just found the right track almost immediately. So that would just made it so much easier. So thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.